I'm not ashamed.
So powerful. Everything he said was relevant today here in Harvard, Connecticut. So the answer becomes is that when will we start honoring his words? These are tears of courage.
Yes, sir.
Real warriors cry.
Yes, sir. Brother.
I started out in urban radios, WKU radios. This is really what I had to do was to not be altered with emotion, because it's difficult sometimes. I had to be objective. I earned it. And one of the things that made me successful today is that I met Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
You see, I lived in 64 Belgium Square. When I was a child, 64 Belgium Square was very significant in terms of the movement of educating our people. Sister Rosalie Glover lived in 64 on the 4th floor. And as a child, I would go up there. And I can still see the corner she had. Room. Right? Almost. I would go up there and she would be in a room with other adults, and she had not time to do it. I'd walk in as a child. That's when you bring blood. Sisters in this room. She'd be sitting down, I'd be listening. It was something different. At that time, Malcolm from Elijah Muhammad was to organize a mosque around. He came from Springfield to Harvard. And he started in Sister Rosalia's house. Well, house number 14?
Yes, sir. That's right.
And then throughout my career, that's when that fool was running around here doing things to us by the name of Jerry Hoover. And I've said, and one of my things I picked up was that the revolution will not be televised. The revolution of the mind, that still is today. The fact that this library is open today, we got to fight to try and get some things done here. We have it open all the time.
Yes, sir.
With the books and everything else. But so what happens at that time, my uncle was Wilfred X. Johnson, and Sister Rosalie's daughter was my aunt's best friend. And so the FBI questioned Wilfred X. Johnson about Malcolm. If you knew Wilfred X. Johnson at that time, he was, unlike today, he was an activist first, and then became a politician. What does that mean? That means if you're an activist, you stay in touch with your people. We came here in different ships, we're in the same boat now.
Come on, brother.
So what happens today, my issue today is that we've got too many brothers and sisters who consider themselves politicians. And they're not in touch with their people.
Right.
And think about in politics, it's about numbers. You gotta know numbers. If you're a politician, your strength comes in people around this room and to ignore at their own peril. And you're catching hell up here in state capitol because if you're only elected by 2 or 3 people, why are you elected? And then who's dictating to you? I think the most rewarding thing I can say today in terms of the nation. First of all, on May 19th, I'm hoping one of these technicians will put this on DVD because I want it out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On May 19th, I've got this from WKNU Radio so many years ago. And I played it on May 19th. To keep me focused. Prophet. And I can read this, it's small. It's in my mind, it's embedded in my mind. And I would pick up things at this 500-watt daytime, but realizing it was like this across the country. But what happens is, in 2008, local mamas honored me. Talked about, so you won't know it's just me being rhetorical. The capital of Hartford, Connecticut was chosen by the late Honorable Elisha Muhammad and coordinated by the late L. Malik Shabazz, or Malcolm X, to be the center point for the start of Islam in Connecticut.
Come on, brother.
It's right here. The origins of Muhammad Islamic Center began in the homes
Listen. Listen.
of brotherly in Islam, and moved to various locations across the city of Hartford. Just one last thing. My strength comes from respecting and honoring what we're all about and knowing self. That's what it's all about.
Come on, brother.
I said it earlier about knowing self. And I can remember in terms when I first started at that 500-watt radio station. Mr. Louis Farrakhan would come through here often. And when, that story, one day we were up at Faith Congregational Church. I'm working in radio at that time, and I'm asking Mr. Louis Farrakhan questions. And understanding his security, I get job as student. I asked him a question. Security. I had enough sense of that because I had no fear.
That's right.
And Mr. Louis Farrakhan said, "Come on, brothers. Come on. This brother's asking the questions that our people want answered."
All right now.
And he admonished me. He said, "Brother, if you're ever asking somebody the question they answer, it's not their problem. It's not your problem. It's their problem." You know, I felt like I was 9 feet tall.
Yes, sir.
I was told that by
Yes, sir.
Louis Farrakhan.
Yes. Come on, brother.
And every time he came, and I didn't bring the picture, but I got a picture taken. We were both younger. I'm 73 years old.
Great.
And just lastly, thank you so much for your introduction. I finally accept the fact that I am an elder.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, sister? I just finally accept the fact that I'm an elder. Because I never, and then I look around like Brother Kelvin and they gave him a hard time in school. Graduation?
Yes, sir.
I'm so proud. They tried to throw him out of school or not let him graduate. He was straightening me out. Something along those lines.
That's right.
He stuck to it. Brother Leonard. He's now Lydia Johnson County. He's full. I told him this. I was at his wedding. She told me not to get my kid. There's something going on, but don't be afraid of it.
Yes, sir.
Where do you come from? Cape Verde Islands? Mississippi? Georgia? The West Indies? Don't be afraid. From Puerto Rico? I used to be a cartero. I was a mailman. In the original barrio, which was in the North End of Market. Not in Park Street. You know why? We wrapped our hearts. We're a peace God. Nothing to say. By any means necessary. It must be. Education is the key. That's where it must start. With that little baby.
Come on, brother.
Please. Please. I will always be grateful. You know, realize what happens. I've been busted a couple of times. God, look me in the eye. It's not verbal to you. Never realize that WKU was saying the revolution will not be televised. It's a revolution of mind, and that, in fact, is mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, you young beautiful people. Thank y'all. Y'all made my day.
Thank you.
Oh, you made out.
Give me hope. Well, we must admit, hope is not a factual passion. Give me hope. Thank you.
There's an African proverb that says when an elder dies, it's like the burning of a library.
That's right. That's right.
And
So much knowledge.
we, again, are so grateful and thankful that we have our elder with us to continue to keep the knowledge and wisdom and understanding of Brother Malcolm and anything else you want to know. Certainly Brother Brown is willing to give. And I think that again, we wanted to bring Malcolm sort of full circle, right? To bring him back from the dead, right? Almost, if you look at his lifestyle as a hustler, as a pimp, a drug dealer, to be known as Satan in prison, to then Malcolm X, the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and then his pilgrimage to Mecca. His life after the Nation of Islam, in the sense of looking at all people as the children of God. And that if we really focus on God, or whoever you may call him or her, depending on your
That's
faith,
right. That's right.
that as long as we focus on God as the unifying factor, then we will be able to live and coexist peacefully. And so we know that Malcolm did make his pilgrimage to Mecca, and he then brought back a different viewpoint. In fact, I have a letter that he wrote to Betty while on his pilgrimage, in terms of his experience with white people from around the world, and sharing food and sleeping in the same areas, all in the name of brotherhood, and again, under the auspices of serving one God. I also have a piece, and I'm not going to read it at this time, but there was a letter that Malcolm wrote when he was having issues with Betty and their marriage, and how difficult and how much responsibility there is placed on men in those relationships. And I think that the goal of today is really to get you to try to find out those inner workings of Malcolm, those human elements of Malcolm. Because sometimes we put our leaders on this pedestal, this level of unapproach. We can't approach them. We can't understand them. They're not like us. And I think that the idea of reading his letters, reading his doubts, his journals, all the things that made him who he was and still is important for us to still investigate, no matter what day it is, whether it's his birthday, whether it's June 22nd. It doesn't matter the day or the time. It's important for us to celebrate him and to learn more about him, which in turn helps us to learn more about ourselves. So at this time, I want to hear the one piece that I think all of us really need to listen to, and I've actually had that printed out, and Brother Lou, on the record, has the eulogy of Brother Malcolm in its entirety. And I think when we listen to the words that Brother R.C. Davis speaks about him, it's something that we all need to just take inside and really internalize. Because that question, did you really know Malcolm? Did he smile at you? And I think when we listen to those words, it'll help focus us and move us on as we move forward. So after you hear that eulogy, I'll just have one last final closing piece, and then we will disperse.
Here, at this final hour, in this quiet place, Harlem has come to bid farewell to one of its brightest hopes, extinguished now and gone from us forever. It is not in the memory of man that this unfortunate but nonetheless proud community has found a braver, more gallant young champion than this Afro-American who lies before us, unconquered still. I say the word again as you would want me to, Afro-American. Afro-American Malcolm. Malcolm had stopped being Negro years ago. It had become too small, too puny, too weak a word for him. Malcolm was bigger than that. Malcolm had become an Afro-American, and he wanted so desperately that all his people would become Afro-Americans too. There are those who still consider it their duty as friends of the Negro people to tell us to revile him, to flee even from the presence of his memory, to save ourselves by writing him out of the history of our turbulent times. And we will smile. They will say that he is of hate, a fanatic, a racist, who can only bring evil to the cause for which you struggle. And we will answer and say unto them, did you ever talk to Brother Malcolm? Did you ever touch him or have him smile at you? Did you ever really listen to him? Was he ever himself associated with violence or any public disturbance? For if you did, you would know him. And if you knew him, you would know why we must honor him. Malcolm was our manhood, our living black manhood. This was his meaning to his people. And in honoring him, we honor the best in ourselves. However much we may have differed with him, or with each other about him and his value as a man, let his going from us serve only to bring us together. Consigning these mortal remains to earth, the common mother of all, securing the knowledge that what we place on the ground is no more now a man, but a seed, which after the winter of our discontent will come forth again to meet us, and we shall know him then for what he was and is, a prince, our own black shining prince, who didn't hesitate to die because he loved us so.
So today, May 19th,